Hey everyone, welcome back. So, oftentimes we hit these stages of spiritual warfare and don't even realize it or what it means with respect to what's going to happen next. At this point, if you're consuming content on spiritual warfare online, like this video for example, you've now identified what you're experiencing. If you haven't fully come to terms with the reality of spiritual warfare, you'll get confirmation the same way I did, through the common shared experiences shared online and the personality descriptions of the types of people we have to deal with in warfare. Now, you might argue that people can have similar symptoms of different illnesses. Just because our experiences are the same doesn't mean it's spiritual warfare, but the undeniable, crystal clear evidence will be your enemy's admission. Especially when the attacks aren't working and they get frustrated because they can't figure out why, their admission will start to slip out bit by bit until it finally falls out all at once. For example, in my case, the enemy in my family would randomly and constantly ask me if I was taking sulfur, magnesium, chlorophyll, or iron supplements. She would randomly ask me this all the time out of nowhere, and then I even caught her rummaging through my purse looking through my Advil bottle. She would ask me repeatedly and obsessively what supplements I was taking, and I later realized why. It was because she was paying someone to have spells of weakness, fatigue, and even odor spells casted over me, but the spells weren't working at the time. I was very physically active and productive during that time. I was cooking and eating clean. I was even going to the gym 4 days a week, showering twice a day, so I always smelled fresh and good, even with no perfume or scented products. And she was clearly frustrated that the spells weren't working because by all her efforts and attacks, I should have been bedridden and exhausted to the point where I should have been too weak to even bathe myself or comb my hair or brush my teeth, but the spells weren't working at this time, and I realize now why she kept randomly asking me if I was taking sulfur and magnesium or chlorophyll and iron supplements, because magnesium, sulfur, and iron are all minerals that help break the spell from the inside out. Chlorophyll is also a remedy that neutralizes toxins within the body. So she thought I was taking something to rebuke the curse, but at this point I hadn't even realized that she was doing any spell work. At this point I realized I was definitely in a spiritual warfare, but I had no idea I was being targeted by someone I knew through witchcraft. I just really thought I was going through the test of Job, which is part of why God allows the enemy to form their weapons against us to test our faith. But I thought all these attacks were strictly happening in and through the spirit world, not that it was being orchestrated by someone through witchcraft. But when I started researching spiritual warfare, which branched out into topics of voodoo, black magic, and witchcraft, I listened to a Haitian spiritualist talk about the remedies to different spells and curses, and the ingredients included none other than sulfur, magnesium, iron, chlorophyll, all the supplements my enemy was obsessively asking me about. That's when I realized why she was obsessively asking me if I was taking sulfur and magnesium, because magnesium, sulfur, and iron are all minerals that help break the spell from the inside out. The benefits of magnesium, for example, are remedies to sleep disorders, anxiety, migraines, and help regulate your mood, while sulfur is an essential antioxidant that helps detoxify the body and removes harmful substances. Sulfur also has antibacterial and antifungal properties, which helps fight against skin infections. So this was the first way my enemy began to reveal herself, especially given the obsessive manner in which she was asking me and rummaging through my things. Your opposition may start to expose themselves in different ways relating to your finances, your health, your housing, weight gain, weight loss, your relationships with other people, or your physical appearance. Another way my enemy started to expose herself even more clearly was that she started physically stalking me at coffee shops and even video recording me at the coffee shops. Then she would ask me who I was with and what I was doing there. And when a family friend disclosed to me that she was stalking me at the coffee shops and recording me, I confronted her and told her she was making herself look crazy, because you're recording me at a coffee shop minding my own business. I'm not doing anything illegal. You act like you caught me at a crack house snorting cocaine. No offense to anyone battling addiction. I just mean she was so detached from reality that she couldn't even see that she was quote unquote catching me doing nothing wrong. At some point, when you either confront your enemy or you're in the midst of defeating the person who's been attacking you spiritually, they'll admit what they've been doing out of frustration. They'll either look like they're going crazy or like they're possessed, because they really are. They will literally be driving themselves crazy, and it will be vividly apparent. They'll try to put it on you because of their fixation on you, but they're doing it to themselves. They're driving themselves crazy with their obsession over you and monitoring you and stalking you, and the fact that their spells and attacks are not working on you is driving them crazy, and they're trying to figure out why. She was trying to figure out why the attacks weren't working at that particular point in time. And it's at this point that they'll start to slip and tell you. They'll start to confess. From my experience, the psychopath behind the spiritual attacks on me wouldn't expose herself in the middle of a heated argument or anything like that. She was always riled up when everything was perfectly fine. The house was quiet, nothing was happening. That's when she would go crazy. You will die. Just wait. I'll show you. I'll handle it. You will die. After this, you'll be dead. That's what she would say to me. Up until that point, I never thought she actually wished that on me. I never thought she actually wished death on me. That was the first time I'd ever actually heard her straight up say that to me. She started by muttering it under her breath while staring at me, giving me this demonic stare. It's like she wanted to make sure it came true by saying it out loud. You'll see, just wait. You'll see, you'll be dead. After this, you're dead. And again, she said it with such conviction that everything started making sense. And then she would also say things like, "You're getting my life. You're living my life." And she would say it scornfully. I remember I was just in the kitchen washing dishes, and then she walked into the room, sat down, and then just started staring at me scornfully, saying, "You're getting my life. You're living my life." Like I took something from her. It was so weird. Everything they do is just so weird. And then she started to tell me that she spit in my food and she spit in the container of juice that I just bought. She was trying to make me as much of a nervous wreck as she was. She was trying to make me as frustrated as she was. She would throw out the groceries that I just bought. She would take things from my room, my electronics. It was a lot. It was a lot. Up until this point, I was still praying to God to heal her heart and restore our family, because I know for a fact that she was also doing spell work against multiple other family members, and it was hitting them way worse than it was affecting me, because some of them had substance abuse issues. So I was praying to God to heal and correct her heart. But some people really do have the stubborn spirit of Pharaoh, and I believe she has a generational bloodline curse that was also passed down through her mother to her, because her mother was just as demonic as she is, and they both have the same intense history of traumas. But I think they just hate anyone who doesn't have trauma. Like, they think it's not fair if they have trauma or a harder life than someone else, so they want to haunt you with their curses to make life fair, I guess. Also, other people who may be closer to your enemy and are aware of everything your enemy is doing may try to warn you, and likely wanted to warn you earlier, but were afraid of getting hit in the crossfire. So there might be a friend of your enemy who knows what's going on that might try to tip you off, but not everyone gets someone who tries to warn them, just FYI. Figuring out you're in spiritual warfare is the first major turning point, but your enemy finding out that, one, you've figured out you're in spiritual warfare, and two, that you know who is behind your attacks in spiritual warfare, now that puts your spiritual warfare on a whole other level and takes you to a new turning point. Because knowing what and who is behind your spiritual attacks will heighten your ability to curb the attacks, which will actually trigger your enemy and oftentimes make them carry on like Pharaoh did, until they get shut down like Pharaoh did. But I'll have to get deeper into that in the next video. I'm really behind today on getting these messages out, but I have to go back to try to catch the details and remember what tipped me off when I got this revelation and that revelation. But I'll be back with another message shortly. In the meantime, keep your head up, stay prayed up. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.